This is Democracy Watch. Mark, something especially nefarious is happening in North Carolina. So, as you all know, Democrats have won the state Supreme Court race, Allison Riggs' race in North Carolina, but now Republicans are trying to prevent this from moving forward. Can you explain what's happening here?
Yeah, so Allison Riggs, who is a justice on the state Supreme Court in North Carolina, they elect their justices in North Carolina in partisan elections. There was another judge, a Republican, who ran against her. It was a very, very hard-fought battle and a very, very close election. And in the end, Allison Riggs won by a few hundred votes. And then there was a recount, and that recount was a machine recount, and it was confirmed that she was the winner. But in the interim, the Republican candidate, along with the Republican Party, have challenged all manner of this election. And in particular, they have gone to court and asked for the invalidation of 60,000 ballots. Okay, these are lawful voters who did everything right, but who they want disenfranchised in order to win this election. And it is an absolute national disgrace. And if everyone out there is listening and saying, why haven't I heard about this? Ask yourself, why haven't you heard about this? Why haven't you heard about an effort after an election for the state highest court in North Carolina, where the Republican candidate, who is a judge, running for the highest court in the state and looking to disenfranchise tens of thousands of voters?
On what grounds are they looking to disenfranchise 60,000 people?
It's more than 60,000 people, and it's several categories. So the biggest category are people who they say failed to, when they registered to vote, failed to include their driver's license or social security number. They are the first ones to acknowledge that this has been going on, that this interpretation of state law has been going on for years and years and years. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, this one judge, after the ballots have been cast, not before, after the ballots have been cast, after he lost, has decided that somehow, under his interpretation of state law, none of these people who have been registered to vote, none of these people who have been voted, by the way, none of these people who voted many instances for Donald Trump.
Right.
None of these people should have their ballots counted. They should be tossed out, not for Donald Trump's race. No. Not for the congressional races. No. Not for the state legislative races. No. Just in this election, where Allison Riggs has won a close election. And that's one category. Also, something you and I talked about before the election, he has revived this idea that somehow some overseas and military dependents of overseas and military voters, that they should have their ballots counted. They shouldn't be allowed to vote at all. In state elections, because if they're not North Carolina residents, they're not residents anyway. They should just be totally disenfranchised. It is an absolute national scandal. And why the national legacy media is not covering this. Democracy Docket has now written several times. I have posted on Blue Sky and on Twitter about this several times. I am shouting at the top of my lungs. And you know what, Brian? Other than you and other than Democracy Docket, where's the media on this? Yeah. Where is the New York Times? Where's the Washington Post? Where's CNN? Why is this not leading their news?
Yeah, they got to write their 10th story about Hunter Biden at this point.
Yeah, they got to write their 10th story about a pardon. And this is the kind of thing that breeds cynicism in this country, because if you are one of those 60,000 people who went to the polls thinking you've done everything right, and you cast your ballot, whether you cast your ballot for Allison Riggs or you cast your ballot for the other guy, to now find out that there is some cockamamie legal theory in which they are going to try to ram through a court case to disenfranchise you, no wonder why people give up on voting. No wonder why people don't vote in this country. And the legacy media that say that they are a bastion to protect democracy, well, part of defending democracy is not just covering the disenfranchisement of voters and voter suppression before elections, but it's following through. And you know what? When Bob Casey had a close Senate election in Pennsylvania, and full disclosure, my law firm represented him, you had the Washington Post editorializing, how dare he not concede before the ballots had all been counted.
Right.
How dare he continue to insist that every vote count? And yet, where are they? Where is that same editorial board? Where are those same legacy news outlets today? You know where they are? They're down in Mar-a-Lago, bowing and scraping and kissing rings. That's right. Where they are. And that's why we need people like you. It's the reason why we need people like Democracy Docket covering things like this.
Well, you have been an undisputed leader, especially in this space with Democracy Docket. So for those who are watching right now, if you're not yet signed up, please make sure to sign up. Please reward a news outlet that actually focuses on democracy instead of just making it its tagline. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also on the post description of this video. Mark, I think, first of all, it's worth noting that two of those people who are being disenfranchised right now are Allison Riggs' own parents, who are not being allowed to vote for their own daughter in their own state, which is just insane to me. And I think really perfectly crystallizes the fight that we're having right now. And second of all, I think I wanted to ask, what is the state of this effort to actually be successful on Republicans' behalf at blocking all of these people's votes from being counted?
Look, so far they have not had success, but the cases are not over. The challenges are not over. I mean, these are some of the challenges for the state board. Some of them are at the counties. They'll go to court. I mean, they're playing for keeps on this one because they know that if they can control this state Supreme Court and win this seat, that is a generational shift. Like that will affect the people of North Carolina and the ability of the legislature that has gerrymandered themselves into power. They are also passing laws to try to strip power from the governor. That this is a anti-democratic power grab by the Republicans, and they think that this case, if it goes up through the state courts, which has a conservative majority of the state Supreme Court, they'll pull this off, and we cannot allow that to happen. Everyone needs to be paying attention. Everyone needs to be calling this out for what it is and making sure there is a spotlight shined on this effort to take away this victory from Allison Riggs. Look, I've been involved in close elections. I've been involved in close recounts. You are not hearing a word from me saying that this Republican judge did not have a right to ask for a recount. I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to ask for a second recount, which is a hand recount in North Carolina, which he's asked for. You don't hear boo from me on that. By the way, Washington Post told Bob Casey he didn't have that right for a U.S. Senate race that he lost by 0.2%. But you're not hearing Democrats say that this judge shouldn't be allowed to have his recount. What we are saying is that it is an outrage that the way in which, when that recount fails, as the Republican thinks it will, that the way he's going to win this is by disenfranchising tens of thousands of voters. That's wrong, and that needs to be called out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's a special focus on this race right now, given that we did see North Carolina shockingly, especially in this election cycle, swing to the left. I mean, Democrats won the gubernatorial race, lieutenant gubernatorial race, the attorney general race in that state. They won the statewide races, except for the presidential race. But otherwise, we did see kind of a reversion back left in the state of North Carolina. So maybe it signals something to the Republican Party that things are going in the wrong direction in that state. And this is a rare opportunity that they have to claw back that seat that, to your exact point, would entrench a Republican majority on the state Supreme Court for decades.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, North Carolina in some ways bucked the national trend. It is not just that Josh Stein won the governorship, and it's not just that Democrats did well in other statewide offices there, but look at the heavily gerrymandered maps. I mean, Democrats did as well as they could have done in the state legislature and in the congressional. All of the swing districts that they possibly could win, they did win. They held on to a congressional seat in New York, in North Carolina 1 that Republicans had targeted to potentially go the other way. They broke the veto-proof majority in the legislature that the Republicans had tried to gerrymander. So Republicans are nervous in North Carolina, and they are doing these anti-democratic moves because they think it will benefit them in exercising majority power, even when they have a minority of popular support. And, I am offended by it. I know you are offended by it. I think that it has to be called out, but I can't let off the hook the national legacy media that is also not focused on it. Like, where are they? Where are they? And then they wonder, down the road why there's so much cynicism in the electorate, because this is because you're writing another piece about, Nixon's pardon and Hunter Biden and a pardon, and somehow saying that because Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden, Donald Trump will be irresponsible. I'm sorry. Was Donald Trump set up to otherwise be irresponsible? Donald Trump was saying, you know what? I don't think I can abuse anything. But wait, hold on. Someone just told me Hunter Biden was pardoned. Now I can do what I want.
The entire campaign was predicated on pardoning thousands of insurrectionists who beat up cops and broke into the Capitol. I mean, the extent to which the media has woken up today and decided that this is the first day of U.S. history just kind of blows my mind. Let's finish off with this. You had alluded to the fact that Republicans are now trying to strip power from other branches branches of government in light of the fact that Democrats will control a lot of these top offices. Can you explain what that effort is and whether they'll be successful in doing so?
Yeah, so look, they've tried this before. And they largely got rebuffed by the courts, but they're going to try it again and see if they get away with it. It is not that they are trying to strip power from other parts of the government. They are trying to strip powers from the executive branch. In other words, they are trying to strip power from the Democratic governor and other Democratic-controlled offices. They are trying to move power to the Republican legislature and to Republican-controlled offices. It is a transparent power grab. In fact, what's interesting about the Republicans in North Carolina is that they are so partisan and cocky about their position. They basically kind of admit the quiet part out loud. Like right. They are not subtle in what they are trying to do here. So they passed this bill. Which they claimed was going to be for hurricane relief, but really didn't do anything there. That basically would transfer the governor's authority to appoint the state board of elections and give it to, wait for it, the state auditor. I bet you didn't even know there was a state auditor in North Carolina. There is. It's one of the few positions held by a Republican. And that's why they want to take the power to appoint the state elections board from the governor and give it to the auditor, right? I mean, it's just preposterous. Yeah. They want to try to put photo ID in the state constitution. They want to do a bunch of other stuff that would be bad policy, but you get the main point.
Yeah, well, we will, of course, stay on top of this, and we will continue to cover North Carolina, even in the glaring absence of the mainstream media refusing to do so. Again, you have been a leader in terms of doing this on Democracy Docket. I'll put the link to Democracy Docket right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Please, for those watching, support.
Democratic win challenged Allison Riggs, a Democrat, narrowly won a North Carolina State Supreme Court race. Despite a recount confirming her victory, Republicans are challenging the results, attempting to invalidate over 60,000 ballots. Disenfranchisement efforts. Republicans claim ballots are invalid due to technicalities, such as missing driver's license or social security numbers during registration rules they hadn't enforced in previous elections. Selective disputes. The challenges specifically target ballots in this election, where Riggs won while leaving other races on the same ballots. Congressional or presidential, uncontested. Military and overseas voters. Republicans are attempting to exclude votes from military and overseas voters, arguing they shouldn't participate in state elections, despite these votes being traditionally accepted. Media silence. The national media is criticized for not covering this story, which is described as a major voter disenfranchisement effort and a threat to democracy. Broader Republican strategy. Republicans are accused of trying to entrench power by controlling the state Supreme Court, which would allow them to sustain gerrymandered maps and override Democratic wins. Power stripping from Democrats. Efforts are underway to reduce the powers of the Democratic governor and other Democratic officials by transferring responsibilities to Republican-controlled positions, such as the state auditor. National implications. The challenges and power grabs are seen as part of a broader Republican strategy to maintain control in states where they lack majority support, reflecting anti-democratic trends. Independent media advocacy, Democracy Docket, and other independent outlets are urged to continue highlighting these issues in the absence of mainstream media attention. Call to action. Viewers are encouraged to stay informed, support independent journalism, and advocate for accountability to protect democracy. Thanks for watching.